you so much. Don't sit here, Jack. Don't sit. Y'all looking at me like, really, weekly? Yes, please remain standing for the Black National Anthem being sung by our good friend, Mr. Goins.
Thank you, Mr. Weekly. Just one verse, just one verse. Lift every voice and sing, chill earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as lifting sky. Let it resound loud as a rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught. Sing a song full of the faith that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun, a new day has begun. Let us march on, especially now, till victory is won. Yeah. Let us march on until victory is sure never won.
All right. And now you can be seated. It's going to be a great night tonight, everybody. I'm Lawrence Weekly. I'll serve as your master of ceremony this evening. It's going to be a fun night tonight. We're all gathered here at New Orleans Hotel to celebrate the life, the legacy, and the achievements of our friend, Dr. Lonnie G. Wright. Yeah, Lonnie G. Lonnie got him right. We're so very happy and so very proud. And, you know, as we look across this country and the times that we're living in tonight, you look in this room, this is what we live in. Reverend Box is going to come up and share some thoughts with us. Come on, Reverend Box.
Through the years, we have stood by each other through the highs and the lows, because a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. There's a couple of people in my life that I consider my fave five, and my fave five are men that have impacted my life and who I consider my favorite go-to men. Lonnie is one of those men that I would consider, and I know a lot of people. I've been around for a minute, been to a lot of places with Lonnie. Some of these videos that you saw, one of my favorite videos, we were in Taipei, was him trying to get a basketball. There was a communication gap and the man wasn't understanding. We needed another basketball. And I want to say the Basketball Alumni Association, these videos that you saw, this was Lonnie Wright. This was him. And because of his incessant desire to include others in the successful things that he did, we all got to be a part of it. He was running around like crazy. We were running around like crazy, but make no mistake about it, the Basketball Alumni Association incorporated to bring former athletes, former basketball players like myself, who had not graduated. I did, but that's another story, to go back to school and to get their education. I actually went back and got a master's degree through the program. And so this was something that Lonnie instituted because of being a brother who was born for adversity. And all the highs and all the lows of my life, Lonnie has been there, and he has always been there. And I'm not speaking about someone who just has done some amazing things in our community, and that's what we're here to celebrate. But I celebrate all the time the amazing things that he's done in my life. He calls me way too late, and I always pick up. He called me Saturday night, and I'm a pastor, so I'm working Saturday night because I'm working Sunday morning. And he calls me Saturday night, and he's like, "Hey, Rich." I said, Lonnie, it's Saturday night. Oh, yeah, man. Well, I'll make it short. And how many of you know when Lonnie Wright says it ain't gonna be long, that don't mean nothing? Yeah, I see hands all over the place here. Yes. Lonnie is a selfless man. Back then, he said he drove a purple Cadillac with pinstripes from Magoo. How many of y'all know Magoo? Magoo was the man. I never knew who he was, but he did all the old pinstripes back in the day. He said, "Hey, man, if you ever need a car for anything, you can use my car." I was like, "What? I can roll in the purple Cadillac?" I'm like, so the next week, I'm like, "Hey, Mr. Wright, Lonnie, yeah, about that Cadillac." The alumni games, they speak for themselves. It was an amazing achievement. Other universities, Duke, North Carolina, you name the bigger schools, did not have what we had here. Lonnie started going to church. I was 25 years old. Man, you can tell me nothing, not one thing. I knew everything. Turned out, I look back, I knew nothing. Anyway, he invited me to church and he said, "Hey, man, why don't you come to church?" I said, "No, no, thank you." "Good for you. Not me." He said, "Okay." Then he would ask me again. "Richard, why don't you come to church?" I said, "Lonnie, I'm not going to church, bro. That's not my thing. I'm not, no, no." I mean, I wasn't like offended because he was a friend. Like people get offended. They're like, "No, he's my buddy." He asked me to go to church. I'm like, "No." Then he asked me again. He's like, hey, Richard, why don't you come to church?" And I said, "Lonnie, this is the third time." It's funny what you remember. "This is the third time you've asked me." I said, "I'll go to church with you under one condition. You never ask me again." I think I've been ministering now for 30 some years. I take no applaud for that. I think Lonnie saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. He also saw a path that I was on that was not a good path, and he knew the answer. And that's what a friend does.
Hi, I'm Chef Jeff. I'm the founder and CEO of the nonprofit 501c3 Chef Jeff Project Culinary Arts and Leadership Academy. I'm honored to make a video today in honor of my brother, my dear friend, Dr. Lonnie Wright, who is an icon right here in the greatest city in the world, Las Vegas. Dr. Wright, I want to say I wish I could be here today to help celebrate you with the great folks in this community. I want to say that you've always inspired me, motivated me, the work that I've witnessed you doing in the prison system, in the juvenile justice system, here in Clark County as well, also in the community college, where you work with folks in hospitality all over the world. This award is so deserving of you, and I just want to say we love you, and this beautiful kitchen that I'm in here right now, you were responsible for making this place happen here at Peterson Behavior School here in the Northwest. So I want to say, once again, congratulations. Thank you so much for pouring into so many people in this city. You deserve the world, sir. Congratulations.
The University of Nevada, Las Vegas has a long tradition of nurturing local talent, people whose contributions have made it possible for our thriving community to exist and evolve. Few have made as unique a mark on the culture and commerce of Las Vegas as Lonnie Wright.
He's a gentle giant, but when he comes in a room, it shifts. I always believed he should have ran for politics.
He was a brilliant student. We could talk from now till doomsday, and I couldn't finish all the reasons I admire Lonnie.
From the glories of the basketball court to a lifelong career in hospitality and gaming, Lonnie Wright has made his life a testimony of the power of dedication and, most of all, teamwork.
Lonnie was a trendsetter. Lonnie always thought outside the box. And
And I think more than anything else, because of his personality, he was such a networker, but always with a cause.
He had a vision at an early age. And, some of us thought he was crazy, but he saw things way ahead of us.
But his story doesn't begin in Las Vegas. In the 1940s, Lonnie Wright's maternal grandparents left their native Pine Bluff, Arkansas, for job opportunities in southern Nevada, bringing his mother, Bobby, with them.
We continue to talk about how DEI is being dismantled and folks are worried about DEI. This is DEI right here at its finest. Hello, people that come together. Lonnie, it's because of you, man. You're able to cross. We like one of them pop songs. You just crossed over. Your people come from the country. Y'all was singing country songs. You thought going up here gonna sing a little Johnny Taylor or something. He didn't took the Black National Anthem and put Bubba Knight on it. Hey, Bubba, how you doing, baby? But this is a beautiful thing, Lonnie, when a diverse group of people can come together to tell you just how much they appreciate you and how much they love you. And I love what Reverend Box said. Give him his flowers right now, because folks, while you're here, they have nothing but bad and negative things to say about you. They drag you all over the mud, but then it's when you're gone. But Lonnie, we're so proud of you, man. We thank you. Because whether you're out advocating for something good, and I'll tell my quick story and hurry on, but thank you. I remember one night Lonnie called me and said, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm watching TV. What do you want?" Come on, man. We're going over here to the Florence McClure Women's Prison. I want you to come talk to the women. And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, they cooked you dinner." I was like, "Oh boy, really?" Man, let me tell you something. We got over there, and if I tell you, we had the best time of our lives. And what Lonnie got surprised about is I asked the Lord, and I said, "Can I go to the back?" And she said, "What do you mean go to the back?" I said, "I know a lot of them." And tell Lonnie, the warden allowed me to go to the back. I sat in some cells with some women. We laughed. One of the girls looked at me. She said, "Oh Lord, it's about time you put on about 5 pounds." And we sat there. But Lonnie, you know what I loved about that? Sherry even went over. She ran to the store and got us some steak sauce, because they grilled some chicken. I said, "What's really good with a little A1 steak sauce, And Sherry, just kind of that. Those women, we walked out of there with tears, because that's the kind of work and the impact that you make, Lonnie, on people. We're sitting in a women's correctional facility, and here we have a group of women who stood on their feet and cried when we were about to leave. And that all had a lot to do with you, man, and the impact that you have on people. So thank you so very much. Y'all give this brother another big round of applause. All right, now we're gonna fire these things up, and we're gonna hopefully make sure that they both work on both sides. So everybody, Sig Roach, come on up here, man, and let us hear you. Y'all give him a big round of applause.
Well, I want to thank you. First of all, I'm honored to be here tonight. It's a privilege to say anything I can about Lonnie Wright. We've been friends for 50 years, maybe longer. I don't know. But he worked for me in those early days at R&R Advertising. And so did most of the people who played basketball for UNLV. And in those early days, Lonnie was kind of like a caretaker for the team in many ways. All those kids wanted to play in the NBA. And I was with Bill Walton not long ago, maybe a couple of years ago. And he told me that UNLV basketball team was the best assembled basketball team in the history of collegiate basketball. That's really saying something. 9 of the 12 players played in the NBA, and they played an average of close to 9 years. When you think of all the great players who came out, the ones who didn't make it had some problems, because that was their dream, and they had some demons, because that was their dream. They didn't get a chance to fulfill it. And Lonnie was their guiding angel. He looked after them. He took care of them, even when he moved out of state. I remember Eddie Owens, who used to back in Houston, Lonnie. And Lonnie kept in close contact with him. I used to tell people that Lonnie was my first adopted black child. We spent a lot of time together. We did some business together. I've taught before his class in the past. I think it's a great honor and a great privilege to be in your life. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Sig Rose, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. All right. Well, we have some amazing people. Can do me a favor. All the former running rebels that's in the room, would y'all please stand and let us see you? All the former running rebels, please be recognized. Please. Wait, I see you. Y'all, we got a special brother here too. Robert Smith. Robert, I see you over there. How you doing? Y'all give it up for coming. Robert Smith, Robert, we love you, man. God is good. Thank you and your beautiful family. Thank y'all for being here tonight. Freddie Banks, you the youngest of the crew. I don't know how you get that. How you get to hang out with all this wisdom? You always try to act a little older than you were. Not a valid you. You the only one that had a car in the neighborhood. Tonight is a great tribute. If you look at your program here, you all will see some very beautiful commemorative letters. Lonnie shared with us tonight. Just kind of expands his career in terms of from athletics all the way to a professor and an entrepreneur in the community. And, we're just very grateful for what you've done. And, we appreciate it. And tonight is a true testament. Everybody who's asked to speak tonight, your wife, and thank God for sharing this on. Everybody can't talk tonight because I didn't see them giving out any room keys for us to spend the night at New Orleans tonight. So we're going to get through this as best as we can. At this time, and we're going to come back, Lonnie, if you don't mind. I want to bring up a young lady who's going to share us some remarks, and we appreciate her and her tireless efforts in higher education. She's going to come up and share her thoughts in terms of her relationship with Dr. Lonnie Wright. Everybody, please welcome our interim chancellor, Patty Charlton, Nevada Systems in higher education.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Weebly, and it is such an honor for me to be here today and to celebrate my friend, Dr. Lonnie Wright. So Lonnie and I go back about 30 years or more, maybe a little bit more, I'm not quite sure. But what I have to just say is that I appreciate you. I love your spirit, your humanness, and your continued passion. And if anybody has been around Lonnie, when he's got something to say, you better stand up, and I still never could be quite as tall as he should. But Lonnie, your heart is the biggest heart in any room. You have always held us accountable for the good things and the things that need to be improved. And you have never shied away from what needs to be done to make things right. So I have to say that way back in the day when Lonnie was traveling the world, I mean, he was bringing all kinds of international education to Nevada, and we are better because of your vision and your steadfast commitment to what this valley could be. And every time I used to see these pictures, he would tell me about these days at UNLV, and I was like, Lonnie, those are the shortest shorts I've ever seen. You're such a tall guy. I gotta tell you. But thank you, my friends. Thank you for what you have done for our community. Thank you for what you have done to guide and support countless, hundreds, and thousands of students. And you are doing it to this day. I see Dr. Thomas over there, and you already gave us an assignment tonight for Mr. Giovanni. I don't know if he's in the room. Giovanni here? Okay, well, we've got Lonnie continues to inspire students because he wants to make every person to exceed and to meet their fullest potential. But Lonnie, I am so grateful to have this opportunity to be here with you and Sherry and all of these friends that you have that really show the spirit that you have. And thank you for always being brave and just holding everyone accountable. You have work to do, my friends. Our valley is not what we need it to be. Our education system is not what it needs to be. And we need to ensure that we, as Laura said, that we care and we show what we need to do to make sure that everyone can see glory. So, my friend, I love you and thank you. And I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you.
All right, thank you so very much, Patty Charlton, everybody, our interim chancellor for the Nevada Systems of Higher Education. Gentlemen,
right after the war, a lot of blacks migrated here to Las Vegas, and it was the only state and the only city that, besides Reno later, to have gaming. So it grew.
In high school, Lonnie Wright excelled at both football and basketball, graduating from Western High, class of 1970.
I probably was a better football player. I was a split end, and it was more of a challenge to play basketball than it was to play football.
His athletic prowess eventually earned him a scholarship to play college basketball in the early 1970s under UNLV legacy builder Jerry Tarkanian.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to play. I was recruited by Roland Todd. He went and signed a contract to be the coach for the Portland Trail Blazers. And then I had to make John Bayer's team, and then I had to make Tark's team because I didn't want to lose my scholarship. I really put emphasis on being a student athlete. And not only did I get my undergrad, but I got my master's and my doctorate from UNLV. So education has been a real core value within the Wright family.
After coming halfway across the country, when she was just a child herself, raising her sons as a single mother, Mrs. Bobby Wright.
Well, my mother gave birth to me when she was 15. So she was a child having a child. But my mother never stopped going to school to get educated. She was always preaching education to us. The reason why I graduated on time was that I took college courses before I became a freshman. I took college courses under the auspices of the Upward Bound program. And so I had 18 credits to the good before I became a freshman. I just knew I was going to graduate.
After his college graduation in 1975, Lonnie was keen to take advantage of the opportunities he had. As the city of Las Vegas emerged from years of social and economic segregation, he would become the only African-American dealer at Binion's Horseshoe downtown at the tender age of 22.
He was one of the guys that would tell other athletes, basketball players in particular, listen, when you come to Las Vegas, there's opportunity here. You can leverage that. Your playing days can be leveraged into something that when you graduate, there will always be something here for you. And he was proof of it in many different ways.
Back in the early 70s and before, student athletes only had 4 years to graduate on a 4-year scholarship. I just saw a lot of my colleagues, the guys that were on scholarship at that time, I saw them putting all their eggs in one basket, and that is they wanted to play pro. And if they did not play pro, they ended up in their prospective ghettos, never to be heard from again. So I started that organization to go and give these guys a second and third chance to graduate, to take advantage of that golden opportunity of getting a college degree.
Hey, if you're just joining us, everybody, welcome to the Orleans. And yeah, tonight is a big celebration for Dr. Lonnie Wright. And okay, gentlemen, you all worked that out. We're going to move on to our next speaker here. She is the vice provost and dean of the graduate college out at UNLV. And we're happy to have her here to share some words for Dr. Wright. Please welcome Dr. Alyssa Cribbett. How do you say it? Crittenden, come on up, y'all. Come on up. Crittenden. I nailed it. There you go.
Thank you so much. I have a long list of accomplishments here, so I did bring notes, but I promise I won't go over every single bullet point. It is my distinct honor to be here tonight to honor Dr. Lonnie Wright, the UNLV Graduate College Alumnus of the Year. Yes! This is a very competitive process, and he was so humble when I told him that I was nominating him. So humble. I told his sister, well, that's just what black people do. They're very humble. And he said it was just an honor to be nominated, which is what you say, of course. But we knew. We knew that he was going to blow everyone else out of the water. And I'd like to take a moment and I would like to talk about why the only person that we could nominate, that I could nominate for this award, is Lonnie. So I just want to thank Sherry and Lonnie for inviting us here tonight. My colleague Catherine and I are just honored to be here. This prestigious honor is really a testament to Dr. Wright's outstanding achievements. And we can talk about those academic achievements, we will momentarily, but also his unwavering commitment to UNLV. He's a 3-time alum. That deserves recognition. Yes. And as many of you may already know, Lonnie has been coming to UNLV since 1968, when he took his first class for university credit through the Upward Bound program. When I thought about who should represent the Graduate College for this year's award, he was really the only choice. His relationship with UNLV spans almost 50 years. That includes his time as a student, but it also includes his time as a tremendous student athlete playing basketball, and eventually serving our university as an instructor. He has given his time and energy to our hospitality management program, and he also worked, it was just touched upon moments ago, in terms of really increasing cross-cultural awareness all around the world in the hospitality field. So his impact is not just local, his impact truly is global. That is an international impact. So he's already lived multiple lives, and I know that his prowess on the basketball courts can be talked about, but it's also important not only to talk about his academic accomplishments, but I think it's really important to talk about access and to talk about his dedication to providing education in all the spaces. So particularly, he started a tradition, very unique, still unique to this day, that embraced the student athlete holistically. Not just about the sports they were playing and the ways that they were contributing on the field, on the court, but also thinking about their futures and investing in their futures at that time when they were done being an athlete at the university. This tradition was started by the UNLV Basketball Alumni Association, and they raised scholarship funds for UNLV athletes to continue their education beyond that. They worked with the grad college to earmark some of these funds, and this is what I want to talk about next, is I want to turn to his role as a humanitarian and as a philanthropist. We know that he's also not only giving back to youth communities here and elsewhere, but also to justice impacted communities. But it's this dedication to education that I think is something that we don't often pay enough attention to and really give honor to the way that we should. Lonnie and Sherry continue to work very hard to continue this tradition of access to education through the Dr. Lonnie and Sherry Wright Scholarship Fund, which we'll hear more about later tonight, but I heard a yes. So yeah, let's give a round of applause for that. This is not only part of UNLV's mission and part of the Graduate College's mission to our student athletes, and really the significant impact that they have and the role that they play. But I think it's really important to highlight that Lonnie exemplifies these values. these values that we hold so true. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Dr. Wright, because you have shown all of us what it looks like to live as you rise. And I think that that is a tremendous thing for us to be honoring tonight. So we are so proud to call you our Alumnus of the Year, and let us continue celebrating you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please direct your attention to the screen, please.
Jeff, I'm the founder and CEO of the nonprofit 501c3, Chef Project Culinary Arts Leadership Academy. I'm honored to make a video.
Nice. Okay. All right, before he comes to the stage, I'd like to also have you direct their attention. You ready, sir? All right, direct your attention to the screen, and then we will have to come and join us on the dais here. Mr. Dave, video, please.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Dave Kuhn. Whatever I have to say are my thoughts and feelings along with my brother, Doug. We have both had the good fortune of knowing Lonnie most of our lives. We grew up in Las Vegas, very proud of our heritage here in the Valley. Started competing against Lonnie in Pop Warner football. We're always grateful to meet him on the field, but we were glad when the game was over and we had the chance to kind of reminisce and reacquaint ourselves as friends. Lonnie and my brother and I talked about who had the best fight song in Clark County. We all agree that it was Western High School. Lonnie was such an icon growing up in Las Vegas. You are among those that have helped shape Las Vegas. Certainly you have helped shape us, and we are grateful for what you've done for us. And Dr. Lonnie Wright, more than being a tough competitor, he was a very gentle and kind person. We always enjoyed being his friend and are grateful that we now have this opportunity to say some things about him and for all that he's done. So with that, have a nice evening with Lonnie, with his family. And Lonnie, let us say to you, God bless you and your family and loved ones. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shelley Berkeley.
Everybody. So, there's 19 days left until the election. So there are times in the day that I just have to go home and put my feet up. So today was one of those days. And so around 3 o'clock, I went home. I said, let me just relax for a little while. And I'm sitting on the couch watching the Golden Knights game. And I keep dozing off. And my husband says to me, why don't you just stay home tonight? I said, not a chance. I said, Lonnie Wright is getting honored, and I intend to be there to congratulate him in person. I don't remember a time in my life that I didn't know Lonnie. We grew up together. We attended UNLV together, and our paths have crossed throughout our lifetimes. And I can tell you, when I heard that he had received this acknowledgement and this recognition, I couldn't think of anybody that deserved it more than Dr. Lonnie Wright. From his earliest times in this community, and one of the things I truly love about this community and having grown up here is the people that were kids together, didn't have much of a much. They all came from working families, and the contributions that you have made to this city to make it a better place to live for all of us. There are generations of people and people that will never meet you in person, whose lives will be improved and have been improved because of you, Lonnie. That is such an incredibly weighty thing to have accomplished. So on behalf of everybody in Southern Nevada who either has heard of you, has played with you, has grown up with you, or has had the honor of knowing you as a community leader and somebody that has made a huge difference in this community, I want to thank you for being a good person, a good community citizen, and for all of us in this room, a very, very good friend. It is an honor. That deserves applause. It's an honor for me to know you and Sherry, and we've been texting back and forth. And on the last text, he said, friends forever. And we've been friends for a good 50 years, and we will be friends forever. And my life is better off because of you. Thank you so much.
But as Las Vegas was changing rapidly, and thanks to his understanding of teamwork, communications, and mutual respect, he was able to become one of the city's top educators in the hospitality industry.
The school that he operates right now, called Hospitality International Training, or HIT, we place probably over 80% of our students. We also go into places where people are incarcerated and teach them skills for when they get out, to give them an opportunity to have a job and work.
In the summers of 1988 and 1989, Caesar's Palace sponsored the UNLV alumni on tours of the Far East.
Caesar's Palace Far East Marketing Department sent Lonnie Wright as a special envoy to Asia.
I was asked by Caesar's Palace to develop a team and coach that team and to travel in the Far East. We did that for 3 years running. Well, I never lost a game as a coach because I had all the horses.
Eventually recruited by the Kang One Land Project, Lonnie Wright would train management for what would be the first casino built domestically in South Korea.
The American College of Singapore saw that I had an undergraduate degree in hotel management, and I had a master's in post-secondary, secondary ed. The president of that school got in contact with me and asked me if I would be interested in helping him formulate a hospitality school at the American College of Singapore, and I said yes.
Back home, now Dr. Lonnie Wright had become an adjunct professor in hotel administration at his alma mater. Education, his one enduring passion, continued to dominate his work at home. But he always strived to balance his career with the tireless task of giving back to the community.
Back at CSN, I started a homeless program. You know, most academics don't think about the homeless. I started a homeless program with the Salvation Army that is still going now. Always, want to give back.
Philanthropy and community support were one part of Professor Wright's mission and ultimately his ministry.
The history and the knowledge that he has educationally, but the experience that he has.
I mean, if you step back and look at a lot of things that he's done in his lifetime, you could label him a great black man.
And he shall be like a tree, planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper.
I tell a lot of young kids that if you just take 1/8 of the energy that it takes to run up and down the floor, you undoubtedly would graduate, be an A student, AB student without a problem. And it's just channeling that focus and that energy into academics.
The legacy of Professor Wright's decades of service to the Las Vegas community has left an indelible imprint on the history of his hometown. And as an African-American businessman, a proud alumni of UNLV, a man of faith, and ultimately a proud son of Las Vegas.
Park, I want to bring Dr. Felicia Thomas up. Come on, Dr. Thomas.
I almost feel like I want to say I've been knowing Lonnie for 50 years because everybody else has known her for 50 years. But I'm not even 50 years old. But I've been knowing Dr. Wright since 2018, so I'm a newbie. He's like a big brother to me. But I want to read the proclamation from the city. It is the policy and the pleasure of the board and the county commissions to honor and recognize those individuals that contribute significantly, that's important, significantly to the development of our community. Whereas Dr. Lonnie Wright is a distinguished member of the College of Southern Nevada faculty, has made many remarkable administrative contributions to the local, national, and international hospitality industry. As a tenured faculty, Dr. Wright has been frequently called upon in various state and local and federal organizations to talk about the multitude and give his knowledge in workforce development, gaming, regulations, hospitality, tourism, marketing, casino operations, and give all he could to the hospitality industry. Professor Wright has traveled extensively to Asia, including countries such as China, Korea, Singapore, representing CSN and local gaming operations, including the Bellagio Hotel Casino and Caesars Palace Hotel and Casino. Well, Dr. Wright, and the list of his professional achievements include being asked by Steve Wynn, former owner of the Wynn Resort International, to recruit, train over 150 African Americans for Black dealers for the impending opening of the Bellagio. It is a historic accomplishment, especially when the gaming industry had essentially stopped hiring Black dealers. And whereas Dr. Wright and his wife, Sherry Wright, co-founder of Hospitalities International Training, they targeted and trained disenfranchised populations, such as the homeless, and incarcerated veterans, and both adults and adolescents. They focused a lot of their attention on the prison ministries as well to make a transition into Nevada taxpayer. HIT, which is the organization, serves as a labor of love, especially to the prison system, whose population is deeply impacted by the disproportionately minority confined issues. Whereas Dr. Lonnie Wright's career highlights him as a former tri-state vice president of the NAACP chapter, which includes the states of Nevada, Utah, and Idaho. He's a former UNLV basketball player alumni association, which raised over $3 million over a period of multiple years to send former athletes back to school to finish their degrees and provide them additional opportunities to obtain their post-secondary graduation. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Commissions of Clark County, Nevada, on the 17th day of October 24th, do by here congratulate, say it with me together, Dr. Lonnie Wright, Alumni of the Year Award. There's a saying that says, if you were on trial for making someone's life better than it was before, will there be enough evidence to convict you? I would say yes for Dr. Lonnie Wright. Thank you.
Beautiful job, y'all. Give it up for Dr. Felisa Thomas. She about her business, though, y'all. She does a lot of great outreach work for the College of Southern Nevada, and she don't play when it comes to her community and her people. How about that? Thank you, Dr. Thomas.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Lonnie Wright, and I was just looking at the book that I wrote, The Introduction to the Hospitality Industry. From being born and raised in Las Vegas, I have done literally every job you can think of. Front of the house to back of the house is what I bring to the classroom. I want them to know they're going to be responsible and accountable to their job description. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. We have to work as a team. I wanted to get our students to understand this industry through the lens of Las Vegas, the #1 venue the world has ever known for hospitality. In tandem with this book was also the lecture series, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about, how important that lecture series was to the learning process of my students. The #1, the happiest mayor in America, Oscar B. Goodman.
As I say, I take great pride in this institution. It was a pleasure when Lonnie asked me to come here and say a couple of words. You know what I love about CSN? I love the fact that the folks who attend here really want to learn. I have a great deal of admiration for the folks here. I think this is the greatest school in the Valley. There's no question about it.
This book was an introduction to hospitality for my students taking classes at CSN. So the lecture series brought to my students those individuals that they may have read about that were a part of the evolution of Las Vegas. Elaine Wynn came out.
You are capable of making good judgments and good decisions. And not only that, depending on what your answer is, you're revealing that you are a person of integrity.
As well as Sig Rogage.
He recruited not only me, but Coach Tarkanian. He has done so much for this community as far as marketing is concerned. Mr. Sig Rogage.
I've been involved in campaigns for president since 1980. 1980, 84, 88, 92, 96, 2000.
When Sig says somebody's going to hitchhike with you, look out, it could be anybody. Well, guess what? Secret Service drives up and the President of the United States joins us on a flight to the Big Smoke in Dallas. And it was just unreal.
Governor Miller.
Ultimately, I did run for re-election, and I found the secret that had evaded all my predecessors. I ran unopposed. It's much easier.
Senator Bryan.
Governor, Mayor, Attorney General.
Few things were changing. People had a lot of money after World War II. You couldn't buy an automobile. You couldn't travel.
The hospitality industry is a science, and my students know this from taking my class. When you become leaders of people and understanding this business, the education, you will be an asset domestically or internationally. Also had one of my students to perform, and this particular student was an acrobat. She was absolutely great, a great student as well.
I joined Cirque du Soleil when I was 12, and I started touring the world, starting from Canada and all over North America, Europe, Asia.
We had Mr. Kenny Bayless, who has reffed our championship fights that have brought billions of dollars over the years of economic impact to this city.
I moved here in 1972, so a lot of the stuff that Pat and the senator was talking about, I lived it. Matter of fact, I lived some of the stuff that they didn't live. I was lucky to meet Sammy Davis Jr. because he came to my school, and Sammy Davis talked about what it was like back then. He said, a limo would pick me up at the front of the Moulin Rouge, limo me to the hotel. They would pull in the back. He said, I'd get out the limo, go to the express elevator, walk through the kitchen, go up another flight of stairs, and walk out on the stage and perform. And he said, when I got done performing, I turned around and I went the same way back to the Moulin Rouge.
So when your students get involved and they meet and greet and ask questions of those iconic individuals, it really, really works. This can transcend just lectures about hospitality. Depending on what you're talking about, you can also bring in industry experts in different disciplines at the college.
Probably the biggest move in events we've ever made was bringing the National Finals Rodeo here in 1985.
As you will see how engaged our students are and how they enjoyed themselves. If you have industry experts that you can talk to say, come out and tell us what's going on now in the business. We know things change, and we want to give our students the very best education that we can. We are developing a bank of talent for the hospitality industry, domestically and internationally.
As I say, I take great pride in this institution, and it was a pleasure when Lonnie asked me to come here and say a couple of words. I said I certainly would, because Lonnie and myself, how many years did we go back? About 40 years together. Yeah, no, he's not joking, about 40 years together. He was a great athlete at the other school,
Steve Shore spoke to our students. He was an iconic individual that worked with Cox. He was a television personality, lived in Las Vegas for a very long time, has a school named after him.
A lot of people in Las Vegas that had to admit that this town was not ready for the growth that it faced. Neither was the state.
All of these people gave of their time, and I had my students to Google everyone because I wanted my students, for extra credit, to ask very pertinent questions after the lecture was over. I want my students to get the optimal education experience. And by them being in the same room, being able to ask questions afterwards, being able to break bread with our guests, it develops a relationship. When I write and advocate for our students to be hired on the Strip, they know who they are.
There's so many programs in Las Vegas that offer internships, which is a wonderful way to get involved and to find out what a community is all about. And you could use it as a stepping stone. It's great on a resume. And I know the city of Las Vegas has several programs like that, the Convention Authority.
Remember, the name of my lecture series is Let Las Vegas Be Your Classroom. Some of the top iconic people in Las Vegas are speaking to our students to give them the very best, the up-to-date. They can ask questions. Between my book and the lecture series is a 1-2 punch in giving our students the very best hospitality education possible.
The longest running chairman for the Nevada Gaming Commission, Mr. Peter Barnhart.
If you, as a hospitality employee, as a gaming employee, do something that affects the viability of the company's gaming license, well, that's a pretty serious offense, and you can cause tremendous problems.
As you well know, we want to keep our students engaged. We want them to enjoy their educational experience. That's why we call it edutainment. Depending on what subject, I would have entertainment for our students to enjoy. The guitarist from the Blue Band Group, what was so funny about it was that he had to babysit at the same time, but he did not miss a stroke, and the kids loved it.
Am I wrong for thinking out the box from where I stay? Am I wrong for saying that I choose another way?
We also had a country western band. We were talking about how Las Vegas changed with their marquees doing the National Finals Rodeo. So we brought out a band.
Johnny's got a gold watch. Don't seem like a whole lot. After 30 years of driving up and down the interstate.
The enjoyment of seeing what Las Vegas does when it comes to marketing special events. During the lecture series, I would have all of my domestic and international students to bring in food for us to enjoy. I wanted them to have an enjoyment of authentic food from Japan, China, America. It was an experience that we call edutainment. I'm writing a chapter on micro and macro changes in the business environment, and one chapter is going to be on the effect of coronavirus, how it affected Las Vegas as well as domestic and international. The other is more specific to Las Vegas, and that is October 1, the shooting that happened at the Mandalay Bay. The combination of the book, the lecture series, and classroom gave my students the very best that they can get as far as an introduction into this hospitality industry. The lecture series worked for us over in Korea when I went there to speak to students on the evolution of the hotel and gaming business. One year I did 6 lectures. The next year I did 8 lectures at different universities and colleges. That brought an enormous amount of Korean students to our campus. But knowing front of the house to back of the house is what I bring to the classroom. And I want them to know they're gonna be responsible and accountable to their job description.
Okay, now I need to know a couple of things. This is going to be interactive because I got fired from Prim. I had never been fired in my life.
We have to work as a team. And I shared with them that acronym. Together, each achieves more. Together, the entire property will achieve more with you being a part of the team. So there are different philosophies and anecdotes that I share with the students and my lecturers share with the students. Hopefully, you'll learn something.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, all right, it's your time now. When you hear the music playing, that means hurry to a close. Y'all please welcome our friend, our brother. We love him, Tony Gladney, everybody.
Good evening, everybody. Don't you just love Larry Weekly? Give him a round of applause. We play around, but I'm gonna go ahead and take the mic as long as I want because I'm bigger than he is. I'm so proud and so honored to be here tonight. I was so pleased when Sherry and Lonnie expressed to me that I would be able to bring comments and speak to you all tonight. And I want to give you all a theme because I think anytime that we talk about someone like Lonnie Wright and what he's been able to do, I believe personally it needs to be themed, similar to as Pastor Box, you themed it. And I want to share with you what a theme through my interaction with Lonnie Wright. You know, Maya Angelou had the famous poem, Still I Rise. In knowing Dr. Wright, one could really point to the fact of when you think of Lonnie, you think of Still We Rise. And many of you all know from my colleagues on the Runner Rebels when I went to college, Freddie and Mark Wade and L. Hutt, that I didn't play basketball. I played football. But as we edifice, still we rise. And one of the reasons why we have the spirit of collaboration, he reached across the aisle, no matter what sport you were in. I can remember, and Dr. Nixon knows, I was that borderline student. I barely graduated with 2.0. I remember Dr. Nixon, who Dr. Wright works very closely with, I remember him saying, if you stick with the nurturing environment that we have, you will graduate. And the kind of background that I had, I didn't know if that was going to be a reality or not. But sometimes the good Lord tells you to trust the process. So one day, I remember this gentleman walks across, and I remember Dr. Wright infusing in me confidence to know that if you put your mind to it, you can do anything that you put your mind to. Asked me a couple of questions, and the next thing I knew, it would start a relationship of any time that Dr. Wright had time or that I passed him by, it would seem like time would just freeze. You know how sometime when you rush into a meeting or sometime you get a call and you say, okay, I only got a little time. Or sometime when we're up here and, you know, Pastor Fox is talking and Larry's like, hey, you know, you only got a little bit of time, but time just freezes for us. And I remember Dr. Wright infusing into me encouragement, confidence. And little would I know that would last for years. Here I am shaking in my boots, this kid, a young executive that was going to work for the largest hotel to open. And guess who was right there helping me and showing me the ropes? Dr. Lonnie Wright. I share with you that because it's important, because I'm not that only story. There's so much intersectionality in this room. so much collaboration in this room of how we are interconnected because of the great work of you, Dr. Wright. Little would I even know that I would have a career and I would be the recipient of the Napier brothers, who you coached and who you encouraged as well. Black executives rise as a first in our industry to know it could be done. And then I'm going to tell this story, and I don't know if you remember this. We had a situation, I was in community affairs, and I'm glad that I'm the vice president of diversity, equity, and inclusion for the largest gaming company and the largest employer in the state of Nevada. But I remember when Dr. Wright was one of the over the NAACP at the time, and we get a call, and there was a situation that took place. You'll probably remember it now. And I remember there was someone that they believed was being accused of something. And I remember somehow, some way, I got included into the situation. I remember Dr. Wright furious, as he should be, furious for what had taken place or what was alleged to have taken place. And I remember within that anger of injustice, I remember Dr. Wright calling me and saying, "Hey, little brother, I'm gonna work with you." But in no way, as close as we were, was he gonna stand for injustice. And so I remember we investigated. I was worried for our company because it was truly an injustice that companies literally can go broke over within lawsuits. And I remember Dr. Wright calling me late at night, as Pastor Voss would say, late at night. And I saw and I said, I better answer this. And I remember him saying, because this doesn't happen in all cases, but in this case, it did happen. And I remember him saying, "Hey, little brother, he's lying. He's trying to express the wrong things for the right reasons, but he's lying." And I remember that the case was resolved because you stood for what was the truth. We've all heard tonight about the great running rebels and the Alumni Association, how through your works, it brought about opportunities for individuals to graduate, to get their secondary degrees. We know the great work of the world fabulous running rebels and how, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the only team that beat you all was Michigan State. But I want to tell you something. There has not been an effort that was started when you think about the UNLV Basketball Alumni Association. You think about these conferences that are moving around, the Big 12s and the Pac 12s, and you think about all this movement. No one had the effort and did what you and your colleagues started in the UNLV Basketball Alumni Association. It was a first. You were a trendsetter. And that is why, in everything that you've done, you're so deserving of where you sit tonight. So with that, because I know I'm going to start getting those looks from my brother Larry, I would like to give you all a call to action. And I would be remiss if I did not tell you how special Sherry is. On the side of every great man is an extraordinary woman. And Sherry, that's what you are. You all have a program, and there's the opportunity of a scholarship that has been formed. Sir Lonnie and Mrs. Sherry Wright Scholarship for student athletes attending graduate school, a tradition started by Dr. Lonnie Wright through the UNLV Basketball Alumni Association founded by Dr. Lonnie Wright in 1977. Now, you didn't know I was going to do this, but as you said, Pastor Box, sometime the good Lord moves on you. I'm going to be the first to donate to this great cause. We thank you for what you've done, for what you both are doing, and what you continue to do to be role models and to make it so that guys like Tony Glandy and others in this room that had the blessing of attending UNLV and other universities get the opportunity to be able to further their education. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have videos to show. Please direct your attention to the screen.
I got my undergraduate degree at UNLV. I got my baccalaureate in hospitality management. And I went on and got my master's in post-secondary secondary ed.
The UNLV Basketball Alumni Association was founded in 1977 to help former student athletes with their educational needs.
At that time, student athletes only got 4 years to graduate. Been associate vice president, a dean, twice chair of my department of hospitality management. I give all credit to being a student athlete. And I did put the emphasis on student, although a lot of the guys that played ball with me, they didn't graduate. A lot of them put their eggs in one basket playing pro basketball. Those that didn't make it to the pros, a lot of them ended up in their prospective ghettos, never to be heard from again until we called them and said, hey, how would you like to have more years to get that degree that was a golden opportunity that you didn't take advantage of?
They helped a lot of people graduate, and I also want to help out the association.
And I said, well, you're going to have to participate in our fundraising to get this money for you to go back to school.
They just don't talk about it. They go out and do it.
Seems to me that we beat UCLA twice, we beat North Carolina twice, we beat Georgetown once, so I don't, Magic is one of the great players of all time, but I don't know that it's going to happen over here tonight.
I said we were going to kill them. They played the rest, but they haven't played the best, and the best is Michigan State. I'm looking right in the camera to all you people and saying that, yes, Michigan State the best. You will see the Running Rebels get ran out of Thomas Mack Arena tonight. Be there, 8 o'clock.
Over 16,000 fans. That's the best attendance ever for an alumni game. And they saw their money's worth tonight.
It was standing room only, and it was one of the best games I have ever seen.
Sure
it was a tremendous game. Michael Jordan in North Carolina couldn't do it. Patrick Ewing and the Hoyas fell short, as did the alumni basketball teams of UCLA, Notre Dame, and BYU. Tonight, it was Magic Johnson and Michigan State's turn to play the UNLV Running Rebel alumni basketball team.
We played against UCLA twice, North Carolina twice.
On August 28th, the Michigan State Spartans will come to Las Vegas and kill the Running Rebels.
What a challenge! The NBA's most valuable player, Magic Johnson, will lead Michigan State against the best from UNLV. It's August 28th at the Thomas & Mack Center, co-sponsored by KLAV Radio and TV5. The Rebels, led by NBA stars Sid Green, Reggie Theus, and Armand Gilliam, will face their biggest test in Scott Scow, 7-footer Kevin Willis, and the Magic Man.
We're coming to Vegas to get ya.
And helped us raise money to send our athletes back to school. We started a master's program. That's how I got my master's.
UNLV Alumni Association is very, very important because it helps people.
I want this program to continue. This tradition has been around for many, many years, and we haven't really celebrated something that we think may have had some influence on the NCAA adding that 5th year. We also reached out to all of the sports, football players, men and women, all sports could go back to school. I am making an appeal to you to help us to raise enough money on student athletes going back to school to get not only their baccalaureates but their masters.
The UBAA was formed by athletes. The main thrust is to fund post-athletic educational endeavors of former UNLV athletes. The UNLV Basketball Alumni Association is proud to be the first of its kind in the nation.
I think that UNLV athletics is very important for the image of the community. We get more national recognition from our basketball program and in the future our football program than we've ever gotten before from any other single part of the community. And so it's important that we project a positive image The UNLV Alumni Basketball Association is a significant stride in that direction, having national media coverage of their efforts to educate the athletes after they've completed their athletic career.
By the way, the game is tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I think I
heard that. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah. Tonight's the night when the UNLV alumni basketball team takes on the Michigan State alumni squad.
We have basketballs, a lot of basketballs.
Basketball?
Yeah.
In the summers of 1988 and 1989, Caesars Palace sponsored the UNLV alumni on tours of the Far East. Running Rebel greats were goodwill ambassadors, playing to sold-out crowds across the Orient.
We brought a couple, but do you have any more?
Any more
Basketball.
basketball?
Yeah.
You need me.
And we are very glad to bring our team here today to Taiwan to have a goodwill match with our good friends in Taiwan. This team is our best team in USA.
No, we have two. Only have two. We only have two.
Only have two.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
And tomorrow
you need make four more. Four more. Please.
Working with Lonnie Wright and others, I think are very solid contributions. So I would think that progress is made, and we need to publicize what we're doing in this area. But I think some important steps have been taken, and I applaud the progress that's been made.
I think this program is particularly exciting because it's targeted at young men who have such a tremendous burden and demand made on their schedules during the year that very often it's difficult for them to carry a full course load and do well.
The UBAA originated several youth-oriented programs, which were provided at no charge to the children of Las Vegas. In the fall of 1988, the association joined forces with Campbell Soup to create the Super Kids Shootout.
One-time Rebel defensive whiz Gary Graham, along with other former Running Rebels Mark Wade, Anthony Todd, and Lonnie Wright. They've all been part of this spring's Basketball Alumni Association's Campbell's Super Camps for Kids.
Forward to the years ahead where, with your continued support, the association can sponsor programs that will benefit the university and the people of Las Vegas.
To me, it's a celebration. First and foremost, I want to thank God for allowing me the opportunity to be here. I want to thank my dear friend Lonnie, his wife, and my family, and everybody for the celebration. I said the reason why it's a celebration because when things happen to you in your life, especially the good things happen, whether you're helping people or not, there are people out there that are very envy and jealous of you. And so when you start to moving and doing stuff, then those naysayers has a tendency to throw salt on you. When he came to me for something, whether he liked it or not, I always told him the truth. Here we go, I get a call. Gee, man, I gotta talk to you, I said, okay, now what it is now? He said, man, I got a chance to get $150 dealers, a job, get them in school, train them, and they being paid And when they get out of school, I could get them hired. I said, now, here you has went and got 150 people, trained them, and got them employment. Those are some of the things that he did. I want to talk about the baseball and all of this kind of stuff. UNLV alumni. I don't want to get off into all that now. All those brothers, and so that he helped get a degree and everything like this. So I don't want to talk about that. Then he took kids, he gave them jobs by taking them overseas to China. And by the grace of God, see, I was there and I saw what he did. And then all of those individuals who didn't graduate, they got the degree because of him. Because he refused to quit. Like I said, it's a celebration for me.
Beautiful stuff. Give it up, everybody. Here he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Lonnie Wright.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, these are some bad brothers here, man. When I say bad, you understand what I'm saying, right? They're at the top of their game. One ran a hotel and casino in Detroit for the impending opening of gaming in Detroit, and that's Dana. Now, Dan is known for bringing the 3 mics to the MGM. Mike Tyson, Michael Jackson, and Mike Jordan. But you know one thing about the Napier twins, they're humble. Now, I called Dan a little more than I called Dana, just to talk about what's happening nowadays. Another person that I called is Gene Collins. When I got out of college, I was assistant hotel manager over at the Sahara Hotel. I saw what the dealers were making. And I quit the job and went to dealer school because I told Gene, I said, man, I went to school for 4 years and they making 3 times what I'm making. I went for an audition. It was the audition from hell. I went in and I saw Lonnie Binion and I said to Lonnie, I just finished dealing school and when I'm ready, I'm gonna come back and maybe you can give me an audition. He told the guy, get him an apron. He put me on a game, it was a dead game because all of these cowboys had left and the guy was standing there and I tapped him out. I'm shaking like a leaf on a tree. This is my first time with live action. They came back and was one cowboy, had his cowboy hat down like this. I couldn't see his face, but all I saw him doing was spitting in a cup. Poof. I said, oh my God, is this what dealing is all about? He was spitting in a cup, And so, but I have to tell you the reason why everybody is here, because everybody means something in my life. You just didn't get here. I got my neighbors back there. I need you to understand that you just don't get here by yourself. I'm speaking to every one of you. You know your interaction with me. Carol and her husband, Lionel. I can just go around the room. Here's my sister. Raise your hand, Paula. She's an educator, ladies and gentlemen. She's an educator. Here's my niece. Raise your hand. She's an educator. Probably the biggest hero in my life, my brother Larry. Raise your hand, Larry. So I got to say this about my brother Larry. He would teach high school, and his students would come to me at the college or at UNLV. And they would look at me and say, boy, your voice sounds so familiar. So familiar. And I said, did you take Mr. Wright at Valley? Yes, that's my brother. Lonnie got all the height, I got all the brains. That's his thing. He tells people that. And then here's my cousin Chavez, and also the Matlock twins. Raise your hand, Matlock. My friends over at IICSN, Dr. Malin, her husband, Dr. Putney. Anyway, back to Gene. And so what happened was, I went to Gene, and I said, Gene, I screwed up this audition, but Teddy Binion gave me a job anyway. And I knew he was going to say, hey, you sure you went to dealer school? But because I was so disheveled, and one guy spitting in a cup, and one guy, this guy that's spitting in the cup, he looked up at me and said, damn, you's a big son of a bitch. He said that to me. He said that to me. He didn't mean any harm, but listen, I'm gonna tell you, my fist balled up. Because I wasn't used to someone talking to me like that. I said, now, is this what the dealing is gonna be like, you know? So I went to Gene, I said, Gene, I passed the audition, but I don't think I'm gonna take the job. Gene said, why? I said, man, people spit in their cups and this. And Gene told me, man, you can't even fill your car up, man. You take that job. And he told me why, because he was an assemblyman and he had kids in school, one at Gorman, one in college. And you know, he got laid off with the being an electrician, and he had to take any job he could to take care of his family. And he gave me this story, and at the end of the story, he says, sometime I got to go and shovel, be up to you know, snow to my waist. Do you think those kids care? Anyway, let me move on, and Sonny Charles and Sarah, raise your hand. Man, that's a bad man over there. If you haven't, I've been watching Sonny. Man, if they told me Sonny was singing on the corner, I'm gonna buy a ticket. The man is bad. Bubba Knight of Gladys Knight and the Pips. I'm kind of mad at Bubba. I'm gonna tell you why. We ran in a marathon together, and we was waiting for the time for the man to shoot the gun. And I said, Bubba, let's just stick together. He said, man, I'm with you. I'm with you, brother. And so Bubba is a vegetarian. And he's over 80, and he can outrun anybody in this room. And so now I say to Bubba, Bubba, we were running down, we were running down the strip. And Bubba, he was in such good shape. He was talking. He could talk. I was trying to keep my breath. I said, after 1 mile, I say, oh man, I got 25 more miles to go. And Bubba want to have a conversation. So when I stopped talking to Bubba, the next thing I know, he was no longer around. By the time I saw Bubba, he was eating the steak, and I was just crossing the finish line. Speaking of being in shape, my wife, she trained me for that marathon, Bubba. We almost got a divorce over her training me. It wasn't easy, but she made sure I got in shape. Signed me up with a group called some guys that run all the time. I came, and I said, Sherry, don't waste your money. I'm not going to do that. You know, she made me do it. And she just say, you ain't going to make it. You got to run under 5 so many minutes, you know, and she stayed on me. Now, he did a $103 million contract with the school district. Give him a hand. One World Energy. It's a woman-owned, black woman-owned business. And Tina, his lovely wife, every one of you means so much to me. You look around, Terry Walker and his wife. Terry played football with me. He was like the Madlocks. We were all on the same team. Terry was a defensive back. I was a split end. And every time I would get tackled and somebody pinch me and do all kind of stuff to me, I look up and I look at Terry's eyes and I knew it was him. My cousin, Bobby Joe Jacobs, and my cousin Ray Dean, I am so happy you didn't take a scholarship at UNLV because, you know, me and you would have been battling and you probably would have won that battle, man. Pure shooter. Where's my friends at the Better Business Bureau? The CEO for the Better Business Bureau. I'm on their executive board. Mrs. Bailey, Mrs. Ann Bailey. Raise your hand, Mrs. Ann Bailey. Open up the Moulin Rouge. She's an icon, and her husband, Dr. Bailey, he passed away. He was a mentor to me as well. So each and every one of you means so much to me. That's why you're here. If you're thinking about Charles Bilberry and his beautiful wife, you know, I could just go around the table and talk. Here's Terry. Terry, stand up. She's my boss at the college. Now, she's smiling, But I know how she is. She'll ball her fists up in a minute. Yeah, she'll ball her fists up in a minute. So anyway, I want to thank the dean, because if it had not been for you, I wouldn't be here. Thanks for the ice cream, Dave. Look at this. For about 60 years, he's been giving me ice cream. And I say, Dave, every pound you lost, I found right here. I found it. So God bless every one of you that's here. You know what you mean to me. Robert Smith, we call him the general. Robert went on that tour, and his wife, Gloria, she was on the tour with us too. She was like a coach. We didn't lose a game for 3 years. Taipei, Hong Kong, Singapore. We played them under the banner of Caesar's Palace. The people thought I was such a coach. Any one of you could have coached these guys. They were so great. That I got offered a job, and of course I took it as the head coach of the Singapore Olympic team. I did. You know, I had a car with flags on it, the whole ball of wax, man. When they had the basketball alumni games, we beat North Carolina 1 year with the great Greyhound, Walter Davis. Beat them, ran them out to Thomas and Mack. Beat Michael Jordan. We couldn't stop Mike now. He got 46. We couldn't stop Mike. We ran him out. Matter of fact, Freddie Banks, Freddie, raise your hand. He, fearless Freddie. Freddie was holding Jordan, and he was doing a pretty good job. But when Jordan saw that Freddie was serious and that this was more than a charitable game, that we didn't like to lose alumni games, I am not kidding. Michael held the ball up, looked at Freddie, and he went on for 46. But we took Freddie off of him because Freddie know how to light him up. Okay, somebody else, I think we put Reggie on him. We beat UCLA twice. We beat Georgetown twice. These guys are the greatest ball players. Give them a hand, the greatest alumni. And we proved it. And we proved it by beating all those illustrious alumni, and we raised $3 million doing it, and we sent a lot of people back to school. And now I'm trying to talk to our athletic director and say, talk to the parents and tell them that once they graduate from UNLV, that they have an opportunity to get their master's or their doctorate for free. That's why I want you. I'm not going to stop. I'm asking you as family and friends, this is a tradition we still want to do. But anyway, thank you. God bless every one of you for coming out, for family and friends, and celebrating me and celebrating yourself at the same time, because every one of you know what you mean to me. Their home is adored with Raiders, man, and we have a ball. Joanne and Tony, I know their names, Sherry. Dr. Barton, raise your hand, Dr. Barton. I asked Dr. Barton, man, why don't you take over being the superintendent? And he looked at me with a look that say, are you crazy? And sometimes she'll give us some of her tickets, you know, when she's not going. She's got season tickets to everything. Again, thank you, Jerusha, you and your husband. I love you, Jerusha. The McDonald sisters, Dr. Young, school board, always had us down, always kept us in the loop.
Y'all give them a round of applause, please.